Yo, 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 welcome back, everybody, to the rundown. Switching things up on you guys a little bit. Usually Rich does the intro, but I'm doing it today. Of course, I'm your host, Kayson Davis. And with me, as usual, I got my guy, Rich Perez. What's up, Rich?
What's going on, people? How y'all doing? Switched it up a little bit. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Yourself?
I'm good, man. Had to take a quick trip to New York, but I'm back.
Yeah. Let that applause run for a little bit.
Yeah, it's different. This time you get the applause. So, things are good. We clapping it up for you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. So where do we start, man? I guess we're going to start with football. You had a Monday night matchup between the New York Football Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All I have to say is the Giants 100% lost this game because of quarterback play. Literally. That's it, quarterback play. There was no other reason why they lost that game. The offensive line actually played very well. Tampa's got one of the best defensive fronts in the league. And the Giants' offensive line, with guys out, mind you, were pushing Tampa's defensive front back. You had Andrew Thomas, who we've been having our complaints about this whole season so far. He actually played very well. They threw in Shane Lemieux, the rookie from Oregon, in there at left guard or left tackle, excuse me. And then, because Will Hernandez has COVID-19 and he shows out over there. And, the defense went out there. They did their thing as usual. You can't, Evan Ingram made the catch that we all complained about him missing about a week ago. But, Daniel Jones, what can you say? He turned the ball over twice, 2 interceptions. The pocket awareness wasn't really there. And then, interceptions was a big deal because Tampa scored 10 points off of his interceptions, which is why they won. The Giants lost the game by 2 points. And then the other thing is he was overthrowing his receivers like crazy. Like, not only that, but, he wasn't making all of his reads either. There was one play where there was busted coverage on Darius Slayton. If you find him there, that's a score for the Giants. He's definitely taking that to the house, but he doesn't. And they end up losing even at the end. If you want to make the argument it should have been a pass interference call in the red zone, you can. But, that 2-point conversion, that he just not exactly doing the right thing. So, again, like, where did the Giants go from here? Because Daniel Jones did some very good things. I'm going off about, because him being the reason that they lost the game. He did some very good things in his game as well. And I actually heard someone say something interesting. I was listening to ESPN New York radio out here, and I heard someone say something very interesting. They sort of compared him to Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston has shown these amazing flashes of talent, but he turns the ball over too much. And it's like Daniel Jones shows us these flashes of like, man, this kid's got something, but he turns the ball over too much.
Yeah, it's funny that you just went there because I was actually about to kind of start going there. I was going to say, I don't know if it's too soon to say it, but is he on that kind of Jameis Winston pass? So, it's crazy because, like you said, everyone else kind of was able to play good and things. And you thought that they kind of got us again. The Giants are up again. You think they're playing good. They can maybe get a win, and then they kind of blow the game again. Like you said, with that last play, you can call pass interference or whatever. But still, that just would have took the game probably into overtime, and there's still a chance they could have lost. So it's crazy. And even with the Daniel Jones things, like we've been talking about this on here a lot. This is not Joe Judge's quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks coming up. I think if he continues to look like that and the Giants continue to lose, I think that the conversation is going to just get more and more intensified about, is it time to maybe switch quarterbacks? I think Tampa Bay gave Jameis Winston like 2 or 3 years before they switched.
He went through his rookie deal, yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones is on his second year. He might not even make it that far. Or they might go quarterback anyway. I think, like you said, like I just said, but that's not his quarterback. So you think about it, you bring another quarterback in and you let them compete for the position, and then you go from there.
Yeah, either that or they could kind of do what Miami did. When they drafted Tua, they traded for Josh Rosen, and Josh Rosen went to a camp with Miami, and then they cut him, and now he's on Tampa's practice squad right now. So it could be something like that. Who knows? Or maybe try and see what you can get from him. I know that's a conversation with the Jets and Sam Darnold, but it's the other thing is too. You mentioned how and Joe Judge is saying the right things, saying he's sticking with him. We could see a new GM in New York as well, and that turns into now it's not only Joe Judge's quarterback, but it's not only not Joe Judge's quarterback, but it's not this guy's quarterback either. So it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep track of too. I think Daniel Jones is kind of on the hot seat for the rest of this year. If things don't start to look good with all the quarterbacks that's coming out this year, and kind of it's looking like the Giants are going to have a top pick, I think he's kind of going to have to start getting his act together and start showing some flashes. I think bringing some competition in there for him might be good. He was able to come in his rookie year and kind of take Eli's job and things like that. So I think bringing some competition in there for him and let him know that someone's behind him, that he can't kind of, just lollygag a little bit, go through the motions. He kind of got to, show up and get himself together a little bit. I think that might be good for him.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I if you're gonna do that, go that route. I think you should probably bring in a veteran in there, because like I've been talked off the ledge a little bit myself. Like when we were talking about, if he keeps looking like this, do you try to put Colt McCoy in there, see how that offense looks with him? But it's not really the brightest move, because everybody kind of knows what Colt McCoy is. Colt McCoy is a career backup. That's been his NFL career. You're not expecting anything else from him outside of that. So in this point in time, it's like, Daniel Jones, you have an 8-game audition to show us something. We're either going to finish these 8 games and find out if you're the answer or if you're not. And if it's going to keep going to the turnovers, like, because you can't win games like that. No matter, like we talk about him flashing the town and everything, you are not going to win games when you keep giving the ball to the other team. So he's kind of in control of his own fate. It's in his hands. If you can win games, then you take the Giants out of position to even draft somebody to replace you. If you can't, then, it's some stuff there. Because even like a certain plays, like they didn't want to go for it. Jason Garrett decides he's not going to go for it on 4th down. Like there's a reason for that. He doesn't trust this dude's decision-making in these crucial situations.
Yeah, like you said, I think the rest of the season is just he's on the hot seat. He's going to have to kind of start showing us something. There might be a new GM in there, already a new quarterback. These are kind of not the guys who drafted him, which is a little unfortunate. He has, like you said, 8 games left. He really has to show something. So he has a chance. It's not like he's not going to have the opportunity. I think you kind of don't go to the backup yet. At worst, like, you let him get the reps in and see if maybe he shows you some more. And if not, like, it's just good for him to kind of still get the reps and kind of maybe as the season goes on, he finds something that kind of like he figures out like, okay, this is not working. Let me stop this, and kind of slow down his turnover. So if you do plan on keeping him for the years going on, this could just be a learning experience, you hope. So I think you keep him in there. You kind of don't go to the backup quarterback yet, but he definitely has to start showing us something.
Yeah, so, I think that might have been their last primetime game. They had like 3 weeks straight where they were doing primetime. They were on Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night. So, we'll be seeing them on regular television from here on out. But he's definitely got some things that he's got to show. Like I said, 10 balls in your court. It's in your fate. You are the controller of your destiny, Daniel Jones. So let's see something. Because, it's the Giants are not a good team. But I think they got it right with the head coach. These guys play hard for Joe Judge. Even on the defensive coordinator side, Patrick Graham is duplicating what he was doing when he was the D coordinator in Miami. They're not an amazingly talented defense, but they go out there and they play. They fight. Like, if we went from saying the Giants are their weakness truly is their defense to, their defense being the reason that they're in games. They don't have these all-world talents at the skill player positions, but they got talent there. Darius Slayton People have been raving about him the last couple of weeks. I've been a big fan of his since his rookie year. He was the steal of that draft, 5th-round pick, who's out here doing some amazing things. So, Daniel Jones, no excuses. All's in your court. What are you going to do with it?
Definitely. Like I said, just he's on the hot seat for the rest of the year, and like you said, the fate is kind of in his hand. He has to show us something. And yeah, I think that, like I said, Giants leave him out there. If he's not showing you guys something, maybe another team sees him and you can kind of get something for him.
Yeah, man. But on the other side of New York, the Jets GM Joe Douglas was taking some questions from both the digital media and press media, and they were going at him for similar stuff that we've been talking about for a minute now, about why the team is where they're at, why he's made some of the decisions like letting Le'Veon Bell go without trading him, trading Jamal Adams, such and such. And the big one, head coach Adam Gase, how's he feeling about him? He just was dodging the questions there. Excuse me. And, basically giving it for all of you Jets fans that think Adam Gase is going somewhere. I don't know what Adam Gase has done to coerce the people in that building, but it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere. For as bad as he looks and all of that, the team owner saying he thinks he's an offensive genius. Obviously, none of us agree with that from the product we've seen on the field. And now you've got the GM basically putting it on himself and basically just avoiding the question of, why he hasn't gotten it done as the head coach, and why he's going to stay. So, yeah.
Yeah, it could be either two things here. Either he's like sometimes you come out and kind of slow down the storylines and things and just come out like, nah, he's safe and things like that. And really you probably want to wait into the offseason to part ways with him. But just to kind of slow down the narrative and the stories a little bit and bringing that type of tension around the team. Maybe he wanted to come out and kind of, direct people away from that. Or maybe they really do see something with him. Maybe he really is a great offensive coach. Maybe there's something he's doing up there showing them X and O's that they really believe in. But if that's the case, then that just lets me know that they really think that the players that they have just can't get it done. So I don't know. I guess it's good for him. If he thinks that way, I guess it's good for him to put it on himself because he's kind of the person who put this team together. But then that kind of brings up, like, you have to do better with your job. So it's like, I'm not going to knock him. That's you got to, if you take full responsibility for your actions, that's good. But now it's just that you got to get on your job and get things done.
Yeah, this is good. This is him entering his 3rd draft, I believe now. So we're because he still has a lot of Mike McCagnon's players over there, even though they've gotten rid of some guys. He even gave a little bit of a vote of confidence to Sam Darnold as far as them not putting the right talent around him for him to be successful and things like that. And he didn't shy away from them talking about possibly drafting a quarterback there. He said. He didn't shut it down, but he didn't say anything that made us say he's not in on Sam Darnold either. So, it's an interesting situation over there, man. I kind of feel for Jets fans. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think it's a good step, though, because what they say, the first step is always admitting you have a problem or admitting that you did wrong. A lot of people can't see that they did wrong, and they might blame it on other people like the coach or things like that. So if he's really seeing that and he really feels that he did something wrong or he hasn't put the right pieces out there and things, I think that's good. So now he can kind of learn from his mistakes, look back on it, and kind of move forward from here. So it could be a good thing, hopefully.
Yeah, again, with something to wait and see. Before we move on from football, we have one more topic to discuss as the trade deadline just passed. You have the Green Bay Packers, who we went crazy about during that draft. They just played in the NFC Championship, knowing that they need some offensive weapons in there in a deep wide receiver draft. They decide they're going to draft the successor to Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. And with their wide receiver core somewhat depleted with Lazard not playing right now and Devontae Adams also out due to injury, we've heard the Houston Texans are willing to trade all of their skill position players, Will Fuller being the key guy there, as well as some other receivers possibly being able to get traded from other teams. We know that the Green Bay defense is not that great at stopping the run as we saw in the NFC Championship last year. And lo and behold, the Green Bay Packers do not make any moves. So now we're sitting there and we're wondering exactly how much do they love Aaron Rodgers? Do they feel like they're not close at all? Because if you did, you would make this move, or did they just think that they're going to be okay without having to make any moves?
I don't know. It's interesting. They keep kind of showing us that either they're ready to move forward or they're just okay with where they're at. And I think either way, they're kind of showing us that they're kind of looking towards the future. I think with the draft pick and not getting Aaron Rodgers no help, they're kind of maybe looking towards like we have enough pieces around him now, and they feel like maybe it's kind of start. It's one of those teams that like you're good now, but you still want to look towards the future. Kind of like if you watch the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, how Jerry Krause was talking about how he was thinking about trading Scottie Pippen so they can still be good going forward before kind of their run was over. So sometimes GMs and things like that kind of start looking forward a little bit while they still have a good roster on their hands, or at least a decent roster. I think it's unfortunate. And I think another thing that kind of played into it is that the Green Bay started off good this year. So the GM's probably looking like, okay, like, yeah, like we're still good. We still can contend and things like that. So maybe we don't need to make no pieces and kind of mess up what we got going here, which is kind of just really unfortunate because I think everyone can look and see that Aaron Rodgers kind of needs some help. I think his greatness kind of, makes it easy for the GM to look and be like, you know what? We're good. Like we've been able to win these games and I think we can contend, but I think it's kind of bad to kind of sit on your morals. I think it's always good to kind of go for it. I know a lot of people gave Daryl Morey a lot of credit for always not settling and always going forward and thinking about getting better and things like that, even with the Warriors being out there. So I think good GMs are always willing to upgrade and ready to get to the next step and not just settling. So I think it's unfortunate, and we're just going to have to see how kind of things play out.
Yeah, man, 100%. I hope Gutekunst isn't having that type of thinking where he thinks, hey, we're just going to be all right with what we have. Like you said, a good GM's always looking to improve. We've seen how great the Warriors have been the last couple of years, and even while they were on their high, they were still looking to make moves at the trade deadline to get better. Even like obviously you drafted a guy that you think will be your future, but like we've seen that with other teams, like the New England Patriots with Tom Brady. Even when Tom Brady was on his high, they had Jimmy Garoppolo in there, and they knew they had Jimmy Garoppolo in there, and they're still looking to get better. We'll go back in the day with the 49ers and Joe Montana. They had Steve Young in the wings there. They were still looking to continue to get better. The 49ers, again, with Alex Smith, they drafted Colin Kaepernick in the second round. They were still looking to get better, knowing that they had a guy in the wings. So that's just it's weird to see from me, and knowing that you have a quarterback with the talent of Aaron Rodgers, I can't understand why you wouldn't make these moves to ensure that you're going to have the success that you have, because they're in a position where they could win another Super Bowl. Why wouldn't you want that, especially with a quarterback as talented as Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, it could be one of those things where it's like they started the season off good, and he's kind of thinks like we're still good enough now to kind of make it where we need to make it to. We don't need to make no changes. We don't need to do no things like that. Last year, did they lose in the conference championship game?
Yeah, they lost in the championship.
Yeah, so
And
he probably just thinks that like we're right there. We just need to kind of get over the hump. But I think, like I said, it's not good to kind of settle on your morals. It's if you need to get over the hump, that might mean you need to make a move. Like sometimes you just keep a team together and eventually maybe they can get over it. But sometimes you kind of need to give them a little push, especially with Aaron Rodgers not being young no more. He's kind of getting up there in age. So you kind of you should be in win now mode right now. And it seems like he's kind of more in we're going to be good right now. Hope we win, but we got to start looking towards the future because I guess maybe he doesn't want to get into a rebuilding situation. He kind of wants to continue his success. So I don't know if he just thinks like, all right, well, making the playoffs and having the chance to maybe win every year is good. And after Aaron Rodgers leaves, I want to set us up so we're kind of still in that same position and we don't have to go through like a full rebuild. But with Aaron Rodgers and just how great he is, I don't think that's kind of the mindset you should have. At least get one Super Bowl out of this little run that they got would make things seem like it's worth it, even if you have to go through a couple of years of rebuilding.
Even that, so like, if you can get these skill position players in there, when you're ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers, you're still going to have these guys there. You're setting up your new quarterback up for success. Like it's a win-win situation. So it's kind of hard to understand the philosophy that's going on over there. I want to so bad, but just can't, man. And, hopefully it works out for them because it doesn't look good at all right now. Do want to switch to hoops though. There's a couple ways we could start. We got a surprise for you guys as far as what we're going to talk about today, because nobody's been talking about this. But I want to end the show with that. So first and foremost, last time we left you, we talked about how Steve Nash is putting his coaching staff together. He's got Jock Vaughn as his head assistant. He brings in Amari Stoudemire. And who does he bring in next? Mike D'Antoni, former head coach of the Houston Rockets, former head coach of the Phoenix Suns that went to the conference finals and had Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire there and the amazing stuff that they were doing over there. This, we talk about these rookie head coaches coming in and surrounding them with veteran coaches for their staff to guide them along and help them out. This is huge.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a perfect situation for kind of Mike D'Antoni. I know he kind of wanted to be a head coach, and it's perfect for Steve Nash being the first-time head coach to have this. It's kind of going to be like a football type of thing where it's like Mike D'Antoni would probably be like the offensive coordinator here, and we know how great Mike D'Antoni is with running the offense and things like that. So for a first-time head coach, I think that's great. That's kind of like the perfect position for him. I don't know what Jack Vaughn's specialty is, but if he's like a defensive specialist defensive specialist, head kind of assistant coach, and I think they kind of have like the perfect setup there. So I think Steve Nash maybe have everything he needs down up there in Brooklyn. Even with KD, Kyrie, you can bounce ideas off of those two guys, great players. And then you put Amari Stoudemire and then Mike D'Antoni in there. I think he has everything that he needs. It's gonna be interesting to see what that offense looks like. I think KD coming off of Achilles, I think they're going to want to get up and down and run a lot and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Just maybe they try to reinvent that 7 seconds or less type of thing. And the Warriors are kind of running like that and Golden State too a little bit, but it's different pieces over here and things like that. But it's great to see all those guys back together now. It's crazy to see that Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire coaches now. Is we're kind of getting up there in age a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Not just that, but like the seeing that it's gonna be interesting to see that a Mike D'Antoni style offense be run with KD and Kyrie Irving. Like I'm very interested to see how they're gonna kind of be able to work that out. These are two guys that can have not just like they have proven that they can both take those big shots, and I don't know. Mike D'Antoni has had some great talent under him that he's coached. I don't know if he's not the head coach, but still working with these guys. I don't know if he's had talent. Like it's crazy because he at one point he coached Kobe Bryant, but like I don't know if he's had talent like he has right now with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, he's not the head coach, but he's gonna be like I said, the head guy of the offense over there. I believe. I'm pretty sure of it. I think it's interesting because a lot of people got on Kyrie about just what he said, but he might have a little valid point. Not that they don't have a head coach, because clearly they have a head coach, but like they do have a lot of guys there who they can bounce ideas off of, where it's going to be a lot of, conversations going on in those huddles about just what is the right play. And kind of, I'm pretty sure Steve Nash should be the last person who gets the last say on things. But Kyrie Irving has a point that there's a lot of people over there who like are great basketball minds who they're just going to be bouncing ideas off of kind of just how the game is going and things like that. Especially for a first-year head coach, I think that'll be great. So not that they don't have a head coach, but there's some great people over there who they're gonna be bouncing a lot of ideas off of and taking things from each other.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be a fun team to watch, man. Like I can't wait for the NBA season to get back just to see what they're going to look like, and liveliness of winning basketball back in New York City, of course, is going to be fun in a time where New York professional sports really ain't that fun to watch right now. So it's definitely going to be something to watch. But talking about the season making its comeback, last time we left you guys, we told you that the deadline on the new proposal for the upcoming season, when they're going to start, how many games and all that was that Friday. We both said that we didn't believe it would get done. We were right. They pushed it back tomorrow because we are recording on a Wednesday. They will be voting on how many games and exactly when to start. The date is December 22nd that they are not willing, but that the league wants in order. And something I thought that was interesting that we talked about a little bit was a proposal where they start the season a little later, and instead of 72 games, they play 60 games. And when we talked about that before, we talked about like 67, 68. They're saying 60. I didn't see that coming at all. And it's shocking from the standpoint of the TV revenue money, which we know that they need. I know now they're talking about, negotiating with the Players Association on not exactly the salary cap, but, funds moving forward because of the lack of revenue that they're bringing in with the pandemic going on and not being able to have fans. So guys that are making like 50 mil a year could be going down to like 30, 40 mil. We're talking superstars here. So this is all just like interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think for the reasons that you just brought up in all those financial situations, I think the season will probably start around the 22nd, Christmas time. When it came out, you sent it to me. I was saying like they're kind of right that Christmas revenue is going to be a lot to miss out on. I know me, I watch Christmas games every year. Without it, I kind of probably don't know what I'll do. But I think they're going to need that. I think the players are kind of going to come to their senses a little bit and kind of realize that they're going to need that TV money. So they got to kind of get to the 72 games and just things like that. They don't want to miss out on the Christmas revenue, maybe New Year's revenue. That's going to be a lot to kind of miss out on. Martin Luther King Day too. So all those things, I think it's just that financial hit is just going to be too big. So I think players are kind of going to realize like, okay, like kind of like the bubble situation, like maybe we don't want to, but we're kind of going to have to in the best situation. Like you said, superstars going from 40 million to like 20 million. And I don't think that's kind of maybe sit well with them. So I think that the season will probably start the 22nd. Back to kind of what Danny Green said last week or a couple of weeks ago. I just think a lot of superstar players won't play a lot of back-to-backs. They'll be maybe taking a couple games off when they feel like they don't need to play and things like that. Like maybe LeBron James would take a day off versus the Knicks because, like, do they need him against the Knicks?
Mm-hmm.
So things like that.
He did. I don't know how true it is, but I heard that he did say that he would be kind of cherry picking this season because he has AD over there.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially for the older people, especially Bron. He's going to be, like 38. So I think for someone like him, it just makes perfect sense for him to kind of pick and choose his games. I think KD would be too, coming back off that Achilles injury. I think that he's going to sit a lot of games out. I'm pretty sure he's not going to play no back-to-backs, rest days, things like that, load management. So it's just it's something that's kind of become more normal now. Maybe if this happened a couple of years ago, it'd be kind of a big deal. But with Kawhi and him winning the championship, it's become a little more normal now. And then under the circumstances that we are in now, I think it's just it's more understandable.
Yeah, for sure, man. I guess something excuse me, kind of out of it right now. I guess something else to talk about here because the NBA continues to make news. New Orleans Pelicans guard Drew Holiday is on the trading block right now. Technically, they're not actively shopping him, but they are taking calls from contenders. I'm a little shocked, just a little bit, because I thought when they got, they weren't a bad team, but they didn't have Anthony Davis like that with games he was taking off because he was hurt, and then load management and things like that, which allowed them to be in a position to get the number one pick. But even after they got that number one pick, we knew how good they were with the trades, getting Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart in there, along with the fact that you signed J.J. Redick in the offseason and you had a Drew Holiday over there. And, now moving forward, I guess they feel like they're not in a high position to win. They feel like they could sneak in there because they do have that young talent, but not in a high position to win, want to get some draft compensation back. So they're looking to trade Drew Holiday, man. And, I scratched my head just a little bit of it because I feel like you could that's a team that you could run Drew Holiday with. But at the other time, I guess it makes sense. And there's definitely teams that are going to be interested. I think Miami would probably like to take a look at him because of his how he how pesky of a defender he is, along with his offensive game. And I think they might do it even if they have to give up some of them young talent as well, because Pat Riley's always chasing rings, and you've got other teams that would look to bring him in as well. So
yeah, there's definitely a market for him. I thought when AD left, that he'll kind of be on the market then. I know they said they wanted to keep him to kind of sculpt the younger guys and teach him a few things because he's a veteran who's been around and things like that. But I don't think it's too surprising. I think it's time for him kind of to go a little bit. He's been there for a little while now. They're at the point in his career. I think he wants to contend. I think like it's time for him. He's shown what he can do a little bit, and then it's time for him to contend. It's time for him to maybe get on the winning team. I know the Nets said that they were going to be interested in him a little bit and things like that, but I think they should probably get it while it's hot a little bit. Get it while it's hot so you can get something for him for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have more to say?
Now, I was just gonna say, I think there's a market out there for him too. I think I always thought that he should kind of return back to playing point guard, even though he can play the two and kind of guard at the two. I think getting him back to being a point guard would kind of be great for him. With Alonzo Ball down there, thinks he's going to be the guy mainly because he can't shoot too much. He's going to be the guy mainly with the ball in his hand. And he's a great passer. And then I think it allows them to start J.J. Redick. I think J.J. Redick down there and starting lineup would be great for them. He just spaces the floor out for them. And even though like Drew Holiday spaces the floor too, J.J. Redick's just like a spot up shooter and someone who's going to draw a lot of attention running off screens and things like that. So I think he may fit a little better in the starting lineup, and it gets Drew Holiday somewhere, like you said, to Miami where he can kind of be that point guard again. I think it'd be great for him in his career. And then they get something for him. So that's always good. Maybe they can sneak a draft pick in there or something too.
Yeah, and not that I think. Well, no, I'm not going to say what my opinion is on that because people might think I'm biased. Not that I think that Miami is the best situation for him, or that I know, or I have inside knowledge that Miami's actively going after him. They were just kind of the first team that popped in my head because I know how they kind of operate over there.
Yeah, like I said, the Nets were looking at him too. I remember those reports coming out not too long ago. I'm pretty sure the Lakers will take a look at him if they can get another trade in there, even though I don't know if they're going to trade with the Lakers again. But there's a lot of teams out there that can use Drew Holiday right now. So, like you said, for his defense, I think he can be a point guard again, but you can play him at the two if you need to. He's versatile. He can guard 1, 2, sometimes even threes. So there's a lot of teams out there that could use him. The Clippers could definitely use them. We're talking about them needing a point guard, the Clippers. So there's definitely a market out there for him. That's why I said they could maybe try to kind of get rid of him now while it's hot, because they're, like you said, they're going to be an up and coming team. They're not going to be trying to win right now. And he's a veteran player who a lot of veteran teams who's trying to look for a championship, he can maybe be that deciding factor.
Yeah, for sure. I think the kudos to you on mentioning the Clippers too. That's definitely a situation. It's been a while since I really got to see him play on ball like that because of how much they've had him off ball with the guys that they brought in there at point guard. But his point guard skills are definitely legitimate. For any of you people that forgot, he was on that Sixers team that made the playoffs before they went all in on the trust the process stuff. So Drew Holiday, man, there's definitely gonna be something to watch out for. I'm eager to see how that one turns out. I got a good feeling that he's going to be going somewhere else pretty soon.
Yeah, I think the Clippers can kind of try to go hard for him. You think about it, like I said, he's versatile. So you start him at the one, but if you want to put Patrick Beverly in, you think about those two kind of guys back there playing defense in the backcourt. That'd be real tough for them. Then you got Kawhi PG. So that'd be like a crazy four guard, not four guards, but like that'd be a crazy lineup to put out there just defensively wise. So I think now that I brought it up, I think the Clippers should be the first team trying to call him and see what they can kind of give up to get him out in LA. And I'm pretty sure he's from LA. So he went to UCLA. I'm pretty sure he's from LA. So I'm pretty sure the Clippers is exactly somewhere he would want to go.
Yeah, definitely. We got maybe y'all gotta it's so because we be like some Nostradamus type people sometimes. We just be calling stuff. So if this ends up happening, just know Kayson said that first. So just be ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. I think they need to look at it now.
Definitely. I support this. Clippers. You can't get Rondo, go make that deal. I don't know who you got to give up to make it happen, but try and make that happen.
Logan, would you try? Because what if they go after Drew Holiday instead of Rondo? What would you think about that?
I feel like you should go. You know that your problem is not having a leader in there, and we saw what Rondo's out here doing when it's time to shine. So that should be the move. But I wouldn't kill them if they decided to go after Drew Holiday instead, just because he's a younger guy, more offensively talented. But it would make more sense to me to go after Rondo because you don't even have to give anything up to get him. But
Yeah,
I would kill him.
I see what you say, but I might go after Drew Holiday first. Like I said, he's very versatile. He's a great defender. We seen what he was able to do to Damian Lillard in the playoffs. That one time that the Pelicans swept the Blazers. And like I said, he's just versatile. And you bring up that lineup that I just brought up out there again. I think that'd be pretty tough for kind of any team to kind of get through. But Rondo is also a great option, but that'd be a tough decision. But I like the points that you brought up. You don't have to give up nothing for him. But if they can get Drew Holiday for not giving up too much, I might do it.
You think like they can get that done though? I feel like the Pelicans are gonna want something not over the top significant, but they're gonna want something significant back for Drew Holiday. We all know how talented he is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about kind of who's on their roster. I would definitely give up a first round. They haven't really got no first round picks because of the OKC thing. I
Yeah.
would I gotta relook at their roster and kind of their situation. Maybe not. It may be tough. I don't know how much Drew Holiday is making right now either, to kind of because the money's gonna have to match. And I probably wouldn't want to give up Lou Williams, but if I could, I'd give up Patrick Beverly if I needed to. To be
Yeah, I
honest,
would do that too. I think that's definitely one of the more expendable guys over there.
and if I had a pick, I'd give up a pick. I don't know what young players they got because the Pelicans are probably gonna want a young player. If they have a nice young player, I'd probably kind of get rid of him too. But I have to look at it a little more. It may be a little out there because I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, who really do they have to give up besides kind of Patrick Beverly? So who
Yeah.
knows? But it's Jerry West. We talked about Jerry West, so I'm never gonna knock Jerry West. So anything's possible.
Definitely, definitely. You know the other interesting thing too. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but since you brought the Clippers in here, I guess I might. I know I saw something today that Chris Paul said he wants his next destination either be in New York or LA. Obviously, the first one you think about is the Lakers and him teaming up with LeBron and everything. But what if, because it's a little bit of a different situation now, what if he had a reunion with the Clippers?
That'd be interesting. That's another situation where it's like, who could they possibly give up? It's just kind of the same thing. OKC's gonna want some young players, and we already have. I mean, OKC already has kind of all their picks and stuff already. So OKC's gonna want a couple of another young players. But if that's something that can happen, I think that'd be the number one option between the two that we kind of just picked. So it'd be interesting. I think that one's kind of more far fetched because Chris Paul's on like a max contract, I believe.
Yeah, but it's almost up. I mean, he's only got 1 year left.
Yeah, but they still kind of gotta. I don't know if OKC's under the salary cap right now, but if they're not, they still gotta get the money to kind of match up. So it'll be real interesting. I think that one's kind of maybe a little more far fetched, but anything's possible. Like I said with Jerry West.
Yeah, I mean, the other reason too why I would think it would be kind of far fetched is like I don't really know exactly what the Clippers have to give. I know Oklahoma City's kind of been playing hardball with what they want to get back for Chris Paul. So,
and the dynamics there might get I guess Teron Lue's there, but the dynamics there might get a little crazy. You know, a lot of people kind of gets on Chris Paul for kind of being that kind of in your face leader. I know this year maybe he took a different route kind of with the younger guys and things like that. So maybe he's learned a new way to kind of maybe lead them. But I think, I mean, it could get, Kawhi's kind of that quiet guy. PG's nice,
I
but
feel
he's
like
kind of
Kawhi
quiet
needs
too.
that though. Like I think Kawhi needs that though. I think he's got a little bit on his high horse. Like he finding out that he doesn't even live in LA. He still lives in San Diego, so he's coming late to practices and plane rides and other stuff like that. And you seeing how he shrunk in the playoffs against the Nuggets. Like it's kind of apparent from what we've heard and what we've seen that he, as good of a player as he is, that he isn't a leader, and like he could kind of use someone like Chris Paul on his team to give him a little bit more structure, I guess. Like that's something that he had in San Antonio, and even though he won a championship in Toronto, he didn't have that there, and he didn't really have as good as Doc Rivers is. He didn't really have that in LA either, and we saw that fall apart in the end. So having a guy like Chris Paul, I think, could probably be good for him. No, and you need a point guard too. Chris Paul, he proved me wrong. I thought he didn't have nothing left in the tank, and he had a very good season showing he's still one of the top point guards out here, future Hall of Famer. So why not?
Yeah, definitely. I probably want to call Kawhi not a leader. I think his leading is more kind of by example. I think he's one of those guys who kind of goes, he's not going to talk too much, but when it's time to show up, he's going to get after it defensively. He's going to get after it offensively. So I think his leadership style is a little different. He's kind of more of a, I'm going to go out there and show you and hopefully galvanize the troops after they see how hard I'm playing. But like you said, they do need that guy that's kind of going to get in your face a little bit and things like that. It's just that in the past, Chris Paul's kind of maybe rubbed, from what we know, the reports and things like that, he's kind of maybe rubbed people the wrong way with that kind of approach. But it could work. Like, I think that's something they need. And then Tyronn Lue is there, so he's going to be able to kind of, I think with Tyronn Lue being able to get into people's face and things like that, I think he's going to allow Chris Paul to kind of do the same. So I think maybe when players see kind of that, because they're going to see like Tyronn Lue getting in Kawhi's face. And then if Chris Paul does, he's going to kind of let things, not get crazy, but let him speak his mind. I think people are going to be able to see that and maybe be like, all right, we need to listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. Before we get out of here, I teased y'all a little bit earlier, and it just popped up in my head off of what I had seen on Twitter. So apparently it's the worst kept secret in the world that Devin Booker wants out of Phoenix. So you got this premium talent in Devin Booker. He's made an all-star team now. He's put up a bunch of crazy points, hit big shots. We saw him, skyrocket along with his team, during the NBA bubble and in that play-in scenario. The Minnesota Timberwolves have Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell now. We've heard that all three of these guys would like to team up at some point, right? The Minnesota Timberwolves have the number 1 pick. Now, from what I've heard, they would like to move their pick and get an established guy in there so they can go and contend. They got D'Lo for a reason. They want to keep Karl Anthony Towns. They got some very talented guys who made all-star teams and whatnot, and they want to start getting into those playoffs again and contending. Could we be seeing the spark to the next super team in the league?
It's possible. I think one of them, maybe D'Lo, had came out before and said that all of them kind of want to play together. We kind of know about their friendship and kind of how close they all are. So I wouldn't be surprised. The Phoenix situation is interesting because for years now we knew, like you said, it's kind of one of the worst kept secrets that he kind of wants to get out of Phoenix. But we've seen how they played in the bubble. They went 8-0. Now you can say maybe that was not what they're going to be able to do. But even they started this year kind of good with Monty Williams there. I think Monty Williams has showed that he really can coach, and him being back in coaching has been good for the Phoenix Suns. And a couple pieces they've been able to get over there. But I think we have to kind of see how this next up and coming year goes. I think if Phoenix is able to kind of play how they played in the bubble, I think that maybe lets him look and be like, okay, maybe I can stay in Phoenix. But if he does leave, I think Minnesota is probably the first place he wants to go if he can get there. Like I said, they talked about how they all wanted to play together. They're all like super best friends. They're always together and things like that. So it could be the next super team if he leaves. But I think even if he maybe decides to leave, maybe want to leave, it's going to depend on if Phoenix wants to give him up, because Phoenix maybe want to hold on to him for another year and kind of see if they can repeat what they did in the bubble and things like that and kind of convince him to stay. But I think eventually, if he could get to Minnesota, Minnesota's kind of probably where he wants to be, especially he's going to see those two guys playing together next year. And I think if he wants to get there, after everything I just said, I think if he wants to get there, he might have to come out and say it now. Minnesota has that number 1 pick. I think Phoenix would – I don't know if they would trade him for the number 1 pick, but if they have to trade him, he's going to request a trade and you can't keep him. I think the number 1 pick would be great. If he waits kind of later on, we don't know what pick they're going to have next year. We expect them to kind of be a better team. I mean, maybe they'll draft that number 1 pick and they can probably trade him for Devin Booker later, but we don't know who Phoenix might want with that number 1 pick. So I think now is the time if he wants to get there. So maybe the next couple of weeks or so will be telling to see what he really decides, because he can really force his hand if he needs to. I'm not sure how long his contract is still, but he can really force his hand if he needs to.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that he signed that extension over there, and it's about like a year or two in. But I think it's a win. I think this could be a win-win for both teams. You can put a solid team together that's going to compete for the postseason. Three young guys that we know have the talent. I think Ryan Saunders can be a very good head coach. We saw how great of a head coach his dad was. May he rest in peace. The great Flip Saunders, and him being around all these great basketball minds along with his dad pretty much his entire life. Like, you can get him in there and these guys could shine. And then on Phoenix's end, seems like you got the coach. You just drafted DeAndre Ayton about a year ago. And if you're going to lose Devin Booker, you can get the number one pick and then pair DeAndre Ayton up with another guard. Not that it's been like widely speculated, but something we seen that we thought was like super serious. But there's been it looked like there's been a little friction between DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker a little bit. So maybe get like somebody in there and let them really grow together. Cause Booker's a young guy, but he's been in the league a couple years now, so you can get somebody new in there and really let these two guys grow together. That'd be something else too. So, I mean, why not? I'd be cool with it. I think that like, if this is something that's like, that you could present, like, why not? I really think it's a win-win situation for both teams.
I think who says no is Phoenix, and here's why. Because Phoenix has been trying for years to get this thing right with Devin Booker and get a good team around him. Last year, the season, including the bubble, they have shown that maybe they have finally put the right team around him to compete. So now I think they kind of want to ride that out and see where that can take them. If you trade him for the number one pick, you kind of set yourself back a little bit. Yes, you're still getting another great talent, but you don't know what that talent is, and he's not going to be Devin Booker as soon as he get out the gate. So you kind of have to restructure what you're doing a little bit. If they go Anthony Edwards, you get maybe another scorer in there, but he has a lot to learn for the next couple of years. So
I think they go LaMelo Ball. My bad, Coach. I feel like that would be a great situation for LaMelo Ball.
But then what do you do at the two? What do you do at the two now?
Yeah, you plug them in, plug somebody else in. Phoenix's biggest thing for the last few years, which is why like when they had that draft this past draft, where it was Zion and Ja Morant, we're like, okay, they got to at least get the number 2 pick so they can take Ja Morant, and then you really got your team together. Like, they know they need a point guard, like as big a thing as the 2 is, but like I feel like you would go LaMelo Ball before you go Anthony Edwards personally.
But that changes everything. We feel like they need a 2 guard right now because they have Devin Booker.
I feel like the point guard position would be more important though, because you'd have your floor general for the future to go along with your center.
That's what I meant. We feel like they need a point guard right now, but that's because we feel like they need a point guard to put next to Devin Booker. If you get Devin Booker out of there, they do have DeAndre Ayton, and you just made a good point about having that guard in that center. But I feel like I was just kind of saying, with the momentum that they built through the last year, I think Anthony Edwards would be the best person who, like, you would only have to tweak things a little bit. If you switch the point guard position, you kind of have to switch your things a little bit. Like I said, Anthony Edwards is kind of a scorer. Now on Devin Booker's level right now, of course, but you figure he'll be a scorer. So you kind of try to plug him into the Devin Booker role, and hopefully you can kind of keep that momentum that you guys had going forward. I think if you put a point guard in there, you kind of restructuring everything that you kind of built over the last couple of years, which may be a good thing, bad thing, but that's why I think they're going to try to keep Devin Booker, and hopefully keep that success that they had last year, build on it, and hope that can convince them to stay.
Yeah, I think that's what they'll try to do. But like you mentioned earlier, him possibly forcing his hand. Like, if he forces his hand, why not? Like, they have the number 1 pick in the draft. Like, I like, all right, if we're gonna lose this guy, then whatever. We got the number 1 pick now. We can do whatever we want here. And I don't think them switching from getting that 2 guard in there to that point guard would be a bad thing. If you have a floor, it's like your quarterback. When you get a good quarterback in there, it could change the whole structure of your team in a positive way. So, however they want to run things, if they can get that point guard in there and like LaMelo Ball, good things could happen for them. Not only that, but LaMelo Ball is a scorer himself. That's one of the reasons why when people say, he'll be better than Lonzo, or he's better than Lonzo, and Lonzo hasn't done himself any favors. He hasn't really had a great start to his career so far yet. But like I kind of look at him a little weird because I think he's definitely a better scorer than Lonzo. But as far as facilitating and everything, his brother's got him beat there so far. But he's a pretty good facilitator himself. And like I said, if Devin Booker forces his hand, why not?
Yeah, if he forces his hand, I think the discussion turns to who do they take. Like you said, getting the number one pick is the best thing they can get at in the situation. Now it's like, do they go with your route, or if you get that point guard in there, or do they go my route when you kind of try to replace Devin Booker and kind of what he has brung for you? So it'd be interesting. I think that, like I said, the debate is kind of switch a little bit. I like the things that you were saying, and those are valid points too. But also, I think that, like I said, to kind of keep the momentum that they had last year, it might be easier to plug in Anthony Edwards. But also, if you get LaMelo Ball in there, they're going to need some scorers on the wing. They're going to have to you're going to have the 1-2 punch, but then they're going to have to fill out kind of the wing situation. So I think either way, they're going to be set back a little. But I think it'll set them up better for the future.
Set back a little. What if we see a Memphis type of situation or Oklahoma City type of situation where they get rid of this guy? Oklahoma City's a little different because they brought Chris Paul in, but they get this new guy in there, and like I said, he changes the whole face of your team. Memphis was in the playoff race the entire year. They were the 8th seed come bubble time. Like it could be. I guess I feel like it's a win-win for both teams. It really could be a good thing for Phoenix. Like I would be, if Devin Booker really wants out, I would be jumping all over this if I'm Phoenix.
Yeah, if he forces his hand, but also I would probably, if I'm Phoenix, I would give it another year after what we've seen in the bubble, and maybe by trade deadline, I'd probably kind of put him out there. Things kind of have been working out anyway, so maybe the time is right now. But I still think just the momentum that they built last season, they kind of want to try to see how it goes next season, see if they can build off of it. But this conversation may come up in the next couple of months anyway. So now Phoenix is an interesting situation. So it's like, do we try to see if we can build off this, or just kind of get it while it's hot and really get the number one pick that we want?
Yeah. Hey, look, I haven't been this excited talking about some stuff in a while. Like this just popped in my head on my way home when I thought about that tweet. Like, maybe we could see the birth of another super team coming. But even though those guys aren't as established as what we've seen so far, but like. It's something to watch, man. It's really something to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they're not kind of established as other guys before them are, but it's that we know they're gonna want to play together. They're gonna love playing together. We know what Devin Booker brings. We know what kind of all them brings. It's gonna be about them kind of all coming together and getting it together. And you know what they say? It's always more fun to play with people you kind of have relationships with. So it'd be like, Jimmy Butler was over there. He had the greatest relationship with Cat, and we saw those things go, but those guys are best friends. Getting them over there, I think they'll be able to do great things. They're gonna need a couple of veterans around them, but they'll be able to do some great things.
Did we ever talk about too, like, that we're talking about like playing with guys you want to play with? Like, we always thought that it was kind of Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler's beef. Like when Miami went to the finals, Andrew Wiggins did an interview and kind of just threw it out there that, like, it wasn't really him, it was him and Cat. And like we had heard the rumblings of like Cat and Jimmy not getting along, but we kind of like pushed it to the side because we saw a little more in person stuff of Cat and Wiggins, kind of getting at each other. Like yeah, that's just interesting. And then Wiggins goes and throws him under the bus like that. Not even just throws him under the bus, but like I'd be insulted because he said, like, some people just ain't built for it.
Yeah, so it's interesting because a lot of people like to call Karl Anthony Towns soft and things like that, and we know kind of how Jimmy Butler is and how his leadership style is. So I could see them probably butting heads a little more and things like that, especially in practice. So it'd be good to really see what Karl Anthony Towns can do when he has like his friends around him who are also talented, and we'll really see if Karl Anthony Towns was the problem or if it was kind of just maybe not the right time or the right players around him.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like, I kind of want this to like gain some legs now because I'd be interested to talk about this a little more. But hey, man, that was our show. Shout out to Kayson for introing today. We got to get more of that going on. I know y'all heard someone come in the background. That was my dad. If back before we were doing the visuals, we were doing straight audio. I got an interview with him. Y'all should check it out. A shout out to my dad, even though he pulled up all weird and everything. But it's cool. Love you, Pop. And yeah, man, Kayson, you got anything else for him?
Nah, that's it, man. Did we talk about the Tank fight?
No, we didn't.
Nah.
But if y'all follow us on social media, we did brag a little bit. We were right. We were right. We said I said specifically Leo Santa Cruz is no slouch, and he will hang around with Tank Davis. That fight was very, very close. And then Tank delivered this haymaker to the temple and just knocks him out cold. Did no TKO or anything like that. He knocked Leo Santa Cruz out cold. That thing was devastating. And, like me and Kayson both came on and said we thought it was going to be a knockout. So, hey, got to pat ourselves on the back here a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of like I brought up last week, just that knockout power. I said he has that knockout power. All it takes is him to get one good hit on you, kind of like Deontay Wilder. And that's kind of what happened. You know, with a clean uppercut and kind of just knocked him out. So it's kind of what we expected. But, good fight. Yeah,
good fight, man. I'm ready. And it is so weird because at one point, like if you would have said Tank Davis versus Vasily Lomachenko, I'm like Vasily Lomachenko is going to win that fight, and he'll win it convincingly as highly as I think of Tank Davis. Teofimo Lopez changed like the whole landscape of how I think about that division, and just how highly I think of Vasily Lomachenko. Maybe Teofimo Lopez is just that good. We had this conversation with my cousin Rob, host of the Guardy Grill Boxing podcast. Go check that out. When he was on here, and now like looking at it, I'm like, if Teofimo Lopez and Tank Davis fought each other, it's kind of hard for me to see exactly who would win, especially if Tank is on his tear, because he beat a very good fighter in Leo Santa Cruz on Saturday. So, This is gonna be like I want to see. I think I'm ready to see that now. Let's get PBC and Top Rank working together like that. Let's go, man.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like kind of like I was saying. He, like you said, he beat a great fighter, but like you said, he has that knockout power. So always with his fights, you never know what can happen. He's gonna be fighting another great fighter, like we've seen. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see both of those guys kind of get in the ring. But also. I sent you it maybe a couple hours ago. Tyson Fury. We talked about it on here with your cousin about how just what was next for Deontay Wilder, and we thought that fight may be not happening. It looks like if it does, it's not going to be happening anytime soon. So what you think?
Hey, kudos to my cousin Robbie. He put it out there that like the Deontay Wilder thing might not be happening. I actually got a notification through The Athletic, I believe, or it might have been ESPN. Excuse me for mentioning that. But, an article of exactly what Anthony Joshua's next path could be with Tyson Fury on the weight. Like, I think they want to get the Deontay Wilder fight done. I think, like my cousin Rob said, Wilder and his people should kind of look to get away from that for now and, get that confidence back up and everything. But Tyson, this is a business at the end of the day. Tyson Fury needs to go out there, get a check, and continue his career on. So, not too shocked, especially after talking to Rob. And I don't know, I don't think it's the future between those fights when it's Wilder or Joshua against Fury are dead. But in the meantime, everybody's gonna have to kind of go their own separate ways.
Yeah, definitely. But that's all I got for this week.
All right, man. And like I said last week, if you guys have not checked out Kayson's article on Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, you need to go check that out now. We got some more interviews on the works for you guys as well. Articles coming out. And that's it, man. That was the rundown. As Rich as Kayson. We'll see you guys next time.